This is WHSV TV3 News at 6.
We are live at Longwood University. I'm Morgan Donnelly, and I'll have a preview of what you can expect tonight at the vice presidential debate.
Plus, the Valley getting ready for one of those candidates to stop by. What's being done here at the fairgrounds ahead of tomorrow's big rally for Mike Pence.
We are hours away from the first and only vice presidential debate between Democratic nominee Tim Kaine and Republican nominee Mike Pence. Good evening, I'm Bob Corso. WHSV's Morgan Donnelly is live at Longwood University for the debate this evening. Morgan, I am sure these candidates have spent a lot of time preparing for this debate.
Well, Bob, if I was having to prepare for one of these debates, it would probably take me years. But for the two candidates preparing to take to tonight's stage, they have spent many months, some of them even preparing since they were tapped as the vice presidential nominee. Now, U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, who's running as the Democratic vice presidential nominee along with Hillary Clinton, says he first started his prep for this debate by reading and absorbing as much information as possible before doing any mock debates. We know last week he spent some time in Raleigh, North Carolina, as well as his hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and then in Washington, D.C. That's where he did a mock debate with attorney Robert Barnett as the stand-in person as Governor Mike Pence in those mock debates. Now, on the other side, Governor Mike Pence, running as the Republican vice presidential nominee, says he took some time to brush up on what he calls Washington issues. After all, he's spent some time as the governor of Indiana for several years, so he says it was important to brush up on those Washington issues. We know that he did spend some time in Wisconsin last week for a mock debate with Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker as a stand-in for Kaine. But tonight, all eyes are on Farmville, Virginia, a small town of 8,000 people. And today, Amanda Kenny spent some time in the small town of Farmville talking to both Clinton and Trump supporters.
From Main Street and down the street.
Oh, all aboard the Trump train, yeah. we just like that one the best. There was many to choose from.
Supporters from both candidates are in full force here in Farmville. And even though third-party candidate Gary Johnson isn't debating, a supporter from Lynchburg is here.
I'm not really happy because, a lot of voters, around 10% of voters, are not being represented on that debate stage.
And if tonight's debate doesn't sway voters either way, Longwood University is having seminars across campus to make sure they're informed. I spoke with a lot of supporters on both sides, but all Clinton supporters declined to talk on camera. For WHSV, I'm Amanda Kenny.
Now tomorrow, Mike Pence will be making his way to the Valley. He's set to hold a rally in Rockingham County at the fairgrounds on Route 11. That's where we find WHSV's Jared Klein. He joins us from where the rally is going to take place. Jared, what's it looking like out there?
Well, Bob, there's actually a lot going on here at the fairgrounds. People have been here throughout the day getting things set up ahead of tomorrow's rally. An estimated 2,000 people will be in attendance. Now, Nikki Narduzzi will be in that crowd. She is a volunteer at the Trump campaign headquarters down in Stanton. So far this election season, she's been knocking on doors and making phone calls for the Republican ticket. She'll also be volunteering tomorrow at the rally. I spoke with Narduzzi earlier today. She says she hopes Pence will encourage people to come out, vote, and volunteer.
I saw him at another rally in Northern Virginia, and I actually don't remember what he said, but I remember how he made me feel, and just very excited for the future of America, and I think he can do that for a lot of Valley voters.
Now, if you do plan on coming out and attending this rally tomorrow, be sure you're here no later than 10:30. The gates will open at 9:30, and you also cannot bring umbrellas or lawn chairs. So make sure you leave those items at home. This is an outdoor event, so there will be very limited seating, so make sure you plan on that. In Rockingham County, I'm Jared Klein, WHSV.
And we will have team coverage of Pence's visit to the Valley. WHSV's Morgan Donnelly and Jansen Silvers will be at the fairgrounds all day tomorrow. Our coverage starts at 5 a.m. on Daybreak. This is breaking news we have followed all afternoon. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Corso.
And I'm Morgan Donnelly. The train derailing around 1:30 this afternoon, shortly after we sent you a breaking news alert to your cell phone and your tablets.
Now, this happened behind JMU's Warsaw parking deck next to the Forbes Center. The train coming to a halt across Main Street and several other roads. It also brought down trees in the area, which knocked out power for about 992 customers. At 4 o'clock, power was restored to all customers. Our team coverage begins with WHSV's Jansen Silvers, who was one of the first on scene after this happened.
And Jansen, give us the rundown of what happened this afternoon and its impact on the community.
Right behind me, you can see where that train derailed. Yes, we were just a few hundred yards away, and I'll let you zoom in so you can get a little better look. I got on scene just before 2 o'clock, and crews were already working to get this cleaned up. The train was carrying corn, and at this time, there are no reported injuries. For much of the day, though, South Main Street, as you could tell, from Port Republic to Gray Street was closed to traffic, and Maryland Avenue was also shut down, which I'm sure you could see if you were trying to drive in Harrisonburg. Now, city officials say now South Main Street and Maryland Avenue are both open to the public, so that's great news for your drive home from work. Mary Hope Vass with the city also says they are very thankful this didn't happen last week with graduation. I spoke with Ian Bennett with the Harrisonburg Fire Department, who tells me while the cars have been cleared from most of the streets, they could remain on the tracks for some time. Bennett says the cranes to remove the cars should be here in a few hours, but at this time, they don't know how long the cars will be on the track. Now, I don't know if you were able to see it in the video or not, but you can see it clearly right here, just the amount of sheer damage that was done to the track itself, and that continues for some time. Now, I did just speak with a Norfolk Southern worker who says this is going to be a complicated cleanup. And he said at this time, it is also still under investigation. But Jared Klein joins me right now, and you spoke with some people who had some strong reaction to this as well.
I did. As you can imagine, people coming out throughout the afternoon just to see what happened. A lot of people grabbing pictures at the scene. Now, I spoke with a woman working in an office on South Main Street, just a few hundred yards away from where the derailment happened. She said she heard a noise and the lights flickered. At first, she says people weren't sure just what happened.
It's just kind of a surprise to see that happen. We were all just, it's a Monday. I've never seen anything like that. It's some excitement for us.
And as Jansen just mentioned, a complicated cleanup process ahead. Norfolk Southern Police tells us work will continue at least throughout the night tonight. In Harrisonburg, I'm Jared Klein, WHSV.
This is WHSV TV3 News at 6.
I believe that he is guilty.
Governor Terry McAuliffe spares the life of Ivan Telugus less than 1 week before he was scheduled to be executed. Good evening, everyone. I'm John Rogers in tonight for Bob Corso.
And I'm Morgan Donnelly. Thank you for joining us tonight. Ivan Telugus was convicted back in 2006 of hiring another man to kill his ex-girlfriend Stephanie Sipe in Harrisonburg. Telugus has maintained his innocence, while some witnesses have said they lied at the trial. However, the family of Stephanie Sipe says they have no doubt Telugus is guilty. But we do want to go straight to WHSV's Jansen Silvers, who has been following the case and was in Richmond when the governor announced his decision on clemency for Ivan Telugus.
And Jansen, can you explain the governor's decision and what it means for Telugus and the future of this case?
Well, John, you said it. Just over an hour and a half ago, Governor Terry McAuliffe announced that he will deny Ivan Telugus' request for a full pardon, but he will be commuting his sentence to life in prison instead of death in just under a week from today. Now, Governor Terry McAuliffe spoke passionately about the justice system that he believes in so strongly, but he also said that Ivan Telugus, he believes, is still guilty. Now, he says that because he commuted his sentence because he says during the sentencing phase of this case, the jury was given some false information that Ivan Telugus was part of the Russian mafia, and that if they did not sentence him to death, he would be able, with just a phone call, to harm them. And within just hours, those jurors came back with a guilty plea that then they recommended death sentence. McAuliffe says because of that information, he had no choice but to commute Telugus' death sentence. I asked Governor McAuliffe about that other information that Morgan highlighted that came to light, such as signed statements saying 2 witnesses gave false testimonies, and the governor said he did review that evidence, but the main factor was the sentencing phase. And here's what the governor had to say about his decision.
My decision to deny Mr. Telugus' petition for pardon is based on my belief the reliable evidence continues to support his conviction. I believe that he is guilty. What has come to light, however, in my review of the circumstances regarding his death sentence, is that the sentencing phase of Mr. Telugu's trial was terribly flawed and unfair.
The governor says he did reach out to Stephanie Sipes' family about this decision. When asked what they had to say, all he would say is they thanked him for his call. Now we go over to WHSV's Victoria Wood for more reaction on this decision. She is live outside the Harrisonburg Rockingham County Courthouse. Victoria?
Thank you, Jansen. This courthouse is where Ivan Telugu's journey for justice began when he was sentenced to death back in 2006. A lot of people anxiously awaiting the decision today, especially the families of both Stephanie Sipes and Ivan Telugu. And after his decision today, Governor McAuliffe said, quote, "My heart aches for Stephanie Sipes' family, but the Virginia Constitution and our sacred values of due process under law require me to act." Governor McAuliffe said he reached out to both families, and so did we. And we have heard from Sipes' family. They issued no comment. And we have also just heard back from Ivan Telugu's family, and they said, quote, "The fight is not over yet." And we're going to have more reaction on this decision tonight on the Valley's Fox at 10. Live in Court Square, Victoria Wood, WHSV.
If you're still looking for solar glasses for the big day, you may have some difficulty, more so than you'd anticipate, where you can find them.
And with a large-scale event happening in Charlottesville, how resources from here in the Valley are being called in for help. And that's where we begin at 6 o'clock tonight. Good evening, I'm John Rogers. Bob Corso is off tonight.
And I'm Morgan Donnelly. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tomorrow marks the controversial Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, where thousands are expected to attend and protest. Rally goers who arrived in town early assembled today in McIntyre Park, and the space looked no different than it does on any other day. But in Emancipation Park, where the rally was originally going to be held, barricades are up and crews have been on the scene all morning preparing for the event. Officials swept the park for safety concerns but found nothing. They believe they are ready to go tomorrow. And with thousands of people expected to descend on Charlottesville this weekend and the possibility that things could get out of hand, local hospitals are staffed and ready. The director of UVA Medical's Emergency Services says the hospital is preparing for this weekend's event similarly to the way they would for other events like severe weather or a technology project.
The first way we do that is start decompressing the emergency department and then the inpatient floors upstairs. We also want to make sure that we have OR capacity on Saturday in case we get some traumas or injuries.
City officials in a statement said that specific safety plans could not be discussed, but remarks that, quote, "Groups have been working together toward the common goal of giving everyone an opportunity to gather and peacefully protest and to care for this community."
And with that large-scale event happening over the mountain in Charlottesville, all kinds of resources from around the Commonwealth have been called in to help, and some of those resources are from our area. Hundreds of Virginia State troopers will be at the rally, along with some that are already in Charlottesville this evening. Charlottesville City Manager Maurice Jones says this is the largest deployment of the state police in 30 years. Because of those additional resources leaving our area, localities have been asked to step in and help. The Rockingham County Sheriff tells WHSV they'll help service calls with the state police being shorthanded in our area. Even the Virginia Department of Emergency Hazmat Response Team is heading to Charlottesville tomorrow morning. The main reason a hazmat team would be needed is in the event that tear gas is released.
Our main operation over there is to assist with doing decontamination of folks that are exposed to that.
And we also checked in with the Virginia National Guard, and according to a spokesman, the Guard is coordinating with state and local governments for support if needed in Charlottesville tomorrow. And the news continues at 10 o'clock on the Valley's Fox. We're going to continue to follow the latest developments about that rally coming up in Charlottesville. The latest from a prayer vigil scheduled for tonight. That's coming up on the Valley's Fox.
It's a profession that appears to be getting harder and harder to staff in Virginia.
We're simply not attracting young people into the teaching ranks.
Virginia Education Association President Jim Livingston says throughout the state, school districts are facing teacher shortages. In Richmond, there are more than 100 teacher vacancies to fill, leading some districts to ask retired teachers to come back to the classroom. Part of the problem, he says, is teacher salaries.
We're 32nd in the nation with regard to average teacher salary. 32nd. We're in the bottom 50%.
He says Virginia is losing teachers to surrounding states. As for solutions, leaders say it's simply going to cost money.
Well, if you are still looking for solar glasses for the big day, it may be a little bit difficult to find them. We've called multiple places around the valley, and the only places we've had luck finding those glasses to view the eclipse is a few 7-Elevens around Harrisonburg. For example, the 7-Eleven on Mason Street in the city says they still have some available, but they are going quick.
I have few left, not a whole lot, but yeah, we have been selling it like crazy. People buy like 4 or 6 at one time, and they say even, oh, we're going to North Carolina next week and we're going to watch that solar eclipse from there.
And if you know of any place that has some left, we'd love to hear about it. You can always reach us on Facebook or tweet us at WHSV News. Well, a lot of people wondering what the weather's going to be like for all those weekend plans.
Yeah, and Chris Holtzman, meteorologist Chris Holtzman, rather got a chance to go outside today. So Chris has this evening look.
Yeah, good evening, everyone out there. Certainly a lot of rain around the area now. Behind me, I'm reporting outside in Harrisonburg. No rain to talk about. The ground is dry. The clouds have moved in, and it's pretty windy as well. So again, we are going to look at the maps in just a few minutes, but some of us picked up plenty of rain. Others really not seeing anything out there. Let's take a look at the weather maps right now. And as we look at a warning right now, a flood warning is in effect until 1:15 for Shenandoah County, and that is because well over 2 inches of rain fell over the area, as well as Woodstock. Now, as we zoom out the radar, activity is moving into portions of Hardy County and Grant County, as well as Petersburg. You're seeing a shower right now, but as we look at the regional look, again, the activity is going down somewhat. There are a few flashes of lightning, but otherwise, we're going to expect these storms as the sun sets to weaken significantly. Now, the evening planner, scattered storms are going to be expected. Not everyone will see a storm, but if you're heading out this evening, it would be a good idea to bring an umbrella, as these storms will just pop up anywhere and dissipate. So again, pretty cloudy outside right now. Outside the station in Harrisonburg, we have clouds, wind, and as well some rain moving into the area, as well as Augusta County, which hasn't seen any rain today. But other than that, it is pretty quiet out here right now, but we'll be sure to track the latest, and Aubrey will, coming up later on in the full weather hit. For now though, guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, enjoy the time outside from the studio. We'll see you soon.
Well, students at JMU have a lot of options to get involved in civic discussions.
And now the launch of the Civic Engagement Center. Their options are expanding. Dr. Abraham Goldberg is working hard to get the Civic Engagement Center up and running. He started work last month and is preparing for students to return in the next few weeks. The Engagement Center is located in Burris Hall, and he says it's all about the JMU community.
Well, today, parents and kids came out to Title Max in Harrisonburg to make sure children in our area are safe. They came out there to get their kids registered with an identification card in case of an emergency. Now, if someone's child goes missing, they're able to hand that card over to police. The card contains height, weight, a picture, fingerprints, and other identifying features. While the event is wonderful to make sure kids are safe, they say it's also a chance for children to interact in a positive way with police.
But it's a way to them to interact with police in a positive manner. It's a way for them to know the police and to understand that we are there for help, and for parents that may not get to see the police much.
If you weren't able to come out there today, that's okay. The DMV has a similar program, and the Harrisonburg Police Department says if you really want your kids signed up through them, you can schedule an appointment.
This weekend, bargain hunters will be crawling around Shenandoah County. The Route 11 yard crawl is tomorrow. The crawl goes 43 miles from Stevens City to Newmarket. Includes thousands of vendors and businesses that will be out rain or shine. Since there will be more people on Route 11, the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office says they will have extra staff to help with traffic. Organizers with the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce say safety is paramount.
We do crawl and expect a crawl along Route 11 in both directions, but we are prepared for anything, and hopefully everyone's calm and patient and just enjoy their time.
And if you're heading to the crawl, the chamber says to be cautious of pedestrians and to make sure you pull completely off the road to park.
Well, coming up, how one business in Stanton is pledging to keep its employees safe.
But next, if you're expecting a baby, this event may be for you. A one-stop shop for everything infants. That's coming up.
Good evening.